Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Nonstop Talking with your girl here, Vivian Liu. Today we are going to be talking about the best books I read in 2025. This is coming a bit later than I would have liked, but it's been a whirlwind of traveling for the holidays. And right now I only have time because of this 3-day weekend, so I thought I've been kind of keeping this up every year, so why not continue? I have narrowed it down to 12 titles this year, and it is going to be countdown style, but before we do that, let's get some honorable mentions out of the way. This year I have 3. My first honorable mention is Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. I was introduced to this book for required high school reading, and I really loved it, and I read other Arthur Miller plays for school, and I thought as an adult it would be fun to revisit them. I listened to this in audio form, and I believe it was full cast, and it was just such an experience. I think it is a very well written story. It's very much character driven, and I feel like it explains the struggles of just life very well. And I feel and the reason why I didn't put this in my favorites is because I feel sometimes favorites don't belong there, even though this was a reread from high school and I never kept a favorites list from high school. But yeah, I also think I'm highly motivated by nostalgia to talk about this book. In school, I got to pretend to be Happy, which is one of the sons. I don't know why I air quoted his name, but yes, that was his name. And I'll remember my little Happy get up and my monologue. No, I don't remember the monologue, I lied. But I'll remember that I played Happy, and yeah, I think that will always just stay with me, and I'll always remember this story in a fond way. I say all of that, but this is not a happy story whatsoever. But let me give you a quick synopsis. So this 1949 play unfolds through Willie's fragmented memories and present-day conflicts with his wife Linda and his 2 sons Biff and Happy. In 2025, I read volumes 13 and 14 of Spy Family, or Spy X Family. I hear more people say Spy Family. So yeah, volumes 13 and 14 of Spy Family. And I just feel the series is still consistently good. I think it's still strong. I'm still entertained. I'm still left wondering and wanting to continue. And this is no stranger to the favorites list whatsoever. It's already been on the favorites list, and I don't feel repeats are fair, but I really did love volumes 13 and 14, and I wanted to talk about that some more. I did see some online discourse that people are feeling that the plot has become a little bit stagnant and slow moving, but I think for me, it's still good. It's still giving, and there's still emotions, and I love the main family characters. So yeah, I'm still reading it. For those who don't know, let me give a quick synopsis from the internet about what Spy X Family is all about. So the story starts with Lloyd, who is a spy, and he has to create a fake family for a mission. He unknowingly marries an assassin, Yor, as his wife, and they adopt a telepathic daughter, Anya. And all 3 of them are hiding their real identities while trying to pretend to be a normal family, and it just blends a lot of humor, action, and just gut-wrenching emotional moments, because there's they're recovering from a war, but also there might be another. My final honorable mention is Itazurana Kiss, volumes 1 through 3. So I just really love the plot. And it started when I was in middle school, and I watched the Taiwanese adaptation of this story, it started with a kiss. And from there, I've seen multiple different East Asian adaptations of this story. And I just, for whatever reason, it just keeps like bringing me back in. Like I just keep getting stuck on it. In 2025, I watched the 2016, 2017 movie trilogy adaptation. And I was like, wow, I'm like back in the story again. Let me see if the like manga is available on my library app. And the first 3 volumes in like the full color edition were, and it was just really great, like reading the story, seeing it in color, and like, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend this to most people. It is frustrating because like, so the main gist of the story is you follow this like dumb, clumsy, like happy-go-lucky main female character, your literal like Shabai Tian, and her name is Kotoko, and like she literally like has no other real personality except being in love with this really like cold genius guy that she like somehow ends up like having to share a roof with. And I don't know, I love it, but I wouldn't recommend it for anyone. We are heading into the main event. This is probably why you're here, and if not, I don't know why you're here. But yes, like I said, we got 12 titles, 12 best books that I read in 2025. And starting us off at number 12 is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the first book in the Cursebreaker trilogy. It is a modern Beauty and the Beast retelling. So it follows a prince who is cursed, Prince Ren, and he like encounters Harper, who's this tough girl from DC who has cerebral palsy. And this first book was just a really fun time. I think at this point I have to come to terms with the fact that I might just really like Beauty and the Beast retellings. But in addition to that, we have Harper, who's just such a kick-ass female protagonist, and Gray, who is just such a swoon-worthy character. There is disability rep, but like I am unable to speak to that. Yeah, I would say the reason why this is starting the list in such a low position as a favorite is because I loved the first book so much that I immediately jumped and started the audiobook for the second book, and unfortunately it just wasn't good, and I will not continue with the series. I think it should have just stayed one book, and it's just this book. Next, number 11 is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but Fourth Wing, when it came out, and later on as well, is such a divisive book that I was like, wait, I want to know how I feel about it. And I ended up really liking it. So the story starts off with Violet, whose mom is pushing her to be a dragon rider, even though her health is like, she's like just really frail. And while she makes it into like this like really tough like war college dragon riding school, she meets like this like ruthless wing leader named Zayden, and the two of them like uncover secrets of the kingdom. But I don't know, it just really worked for me. I was just having so much fun that I did read the second book soon after and was just like, not as good, but I'm still invested in these characters and stories. And then I read the third book and I was just like, I'm over it. But the first book was really good. Number 10, we have a twofer. I'm gonna need to remind myself what are the authors' names. But we have Freakonomics and Super Freakonomics by Stephen D. Levitt and either Stephen or Stephen, maybe just Stephen J. Dubner. But yes, so I heard about Freakonomics in the book back in like high school, so like many years ago. I remember like my neighbor read it. But yeah, and like somewhat recently, well, recently in like the last year, my work had handed out like free copies, and I was like, I want I want a copy. I've heard about this book. I want to read it. I know nothing about economics, and maybe that's why it worked so well with me. Because I have read like the criticisms online about this book, but like I said, I have no prior knowledge about economics. I really liked like the different like research and studies and like the reasoning that they gave. It just I learned, and I just love that for me. So after that, I picked up the second book, and I continued to learn, and I continued to love that for me. So even though I recognize that these books have criticism, I still just like really enjoyed them, and I felt like they were educational for me, and like in some ways made me like interested in like, oh, so is this what economics is? Interesting. Number 9. This book is a little high on the list, but it really is that whole justification of like some books just come to you in the right time of your life. And that is definitely the case for Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I was a little bit worried about picking up this second book in the Not in Love series because I didn't enjoy the first book. And I also am not a big fan of like big age gap romances, but like this one, and even with the power imbalance, like really worked. Like I just felt the romance, I felt the angst, and I was like rooting for him to just like love her back. So we have Maya, who is a 23-year-old like graduate student, and she is in love with her older brother's friend Connor, who is 38. They've been like avoiding each other for some time now, and they're like forced to like see each other in person at this wedding and like confront their feelings for each other. I just needed a break because I am also in grad school. I just needed a break from required reading for school, and I picked this up, and it was just a fun time. Like I really don't have much notes besides I needed something fun, and this delivered. I wouldn't say this is like the best Ali Hazelwood book I've read because I've read a lot of her books now, but also I think she's one of those writers who like has the formula down, and I am still down with her formula. But yeah, like I wouldn't say this is the best Ali Hazelwood book. These two characters like still irked me at some points, but it really goes back to like sometimes they just hit you at the right time in your life, and like I said, Problematic Summer Romance did that for me. Number 8 is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. So this book is about two light-skinned black twins who run away from home, and then from that moment their like lives just like diverge into very different paths. One of the sisters enters like they're both very white passing, and one of them enters into like white society and like has a daughter, and never acknowledges her like black side ever again, and then the other one gives birth to like a dark-skinned daughter, and she like encounters some troubles and needs to like move back home. And I just feel like this book was very educational. The lessons that it taught landed, and it definitely has rereadability about it, and I think the topic that it talks about can affect a lot of different communities in different ways, and so I like the way that it went about it, and also like how it follows the different generations and how like the mindset grows or continues, and then like just like the diversity in the characters as well. I think every character stood out and was unique in their own way, and yeah, it was just honestly a really well written book. Number 7 is A Home Far Away by Teki Yasuda. Known as Haruka Toki Ie in Japanese, this story follows Alan, who is ill and just doesn't feel like going home, and ends up meeting Hayden, who is on the run. They end up hitting the road together, and just so many challenges follow them. This book just doesn't stop, or the story doesn't stop throwing challenges at these two main characters, and it never gets better. There's no happy ending per se, and yeah, it's rough. I like picked this up randomly, and I didn't expect it to be so depressing, and it was just like the depression like kind of lingered with me a bit after I'd finished, because I was like, I like in a way expected this ending, but at the same time, like, I could have been given a happy ending. So if you want a story about two young gay men and their tragic love story, then was it A Home Far Away should be your next read. Number 6 is Pop Opposites Attract by Hono Natsuna. I read the first 3 volumes in 2025, and I actually got the first volume as a birthday gift from my friend Alex. So thank you for introducing me to this series. Thank you for the gift. It's a lovely story. But yeah, so the title in Japanese is Seihan Taina Watashi Tachi, and so like I said, I was gifted the first volume, loved it so much that I like immediately read the second and third volume, and I think those are the only, it's only up to the third volume right now. I need to double check for the English versions, but it's just about 2 dog owners and their chance encounter, and it's a very, very slow moving story, by the way, but just they're like really, really slow romance. Just them like getting together, realizing they might have feelings for each other. They're still not even like realizing that like fully yet. So it is very slow, but it's just I don't know, a hot chocolate on a rainy day, kind of like just like warms you from the inside. It's adorable. Their side characters are being developed right now as we speak. And they also just are endearing and charming in their own way. So I am excited to see where the story will go, and like as it keeps giving me just like warm like feelings. Number 5 is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So I was really excited to read Mate. I love the first book in the series, Bride, and also back in the day I was wrongly on the wrong team. I was Team Jacob, and to this day there is just something about a paranormal romance, but more accurately something with werewolves that just gets me. It just hits the spot. I just love it. And I truly believe it started with me, Team Jacob. But yes, so this is, what is this? Serena is like a half werewolf, and she was friends with the main girl from Bride. Can't remember her name right now, sorry. And she is like, in a way, being like hunted, stalked, followed, and one of like, I guess a pack leader is protecting her, and she is the mate of that pack leader, but like they like cannot be together for reasons, and just things escalate and go from there. I will say the one thing, like one of my like only complaints about this story is that the ending could have been more impactful. I felt like the conclusion was a little weak, but I can overlook it because I just remember, and honestly I think this either was the last book or one of the last books I finished in 2025, so because of how recent it feels still, I think that's why it's still like stayed with me, but I just remember like listening to the audiobook, and it was already nighttime, and like I was putting in like my headphones because I didn't want to wake up anybody else, and I was just listening to it through my headphones, and I was like, I should really go to sleep. It's like really late, but I also want to continue listening to this, so I'm not gonna sleep just yet. And so it had a grip on me, and that's why it's on the list. Number 4 is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Wow, 2025 was the year of Ali Hazelwood for me. Good job, Ali Hazelwood. You really like stuck all your landings. I'm telling you, that woman has a formula, and that formula has me in a chokehold. She can do no wrong, except for the short story collection, but she can do no wrong. But yes, this story follows like 2 collegiate athletes. The girl is was she in diving? I think she was in diving, and then the guy was in swim. Let me double check this. Yes, Scarlett, diver, and Lucas, swim captain. And they enter into like this like sex agreement in preparations for like their Olympic trainings. Honestly, this book was just like really steamy, and I was very much invested in the characters. And once again, I think like the main thing in 2025, especially with like school, work, world events, life, was I just needed to have a fun time in the books that I was reading. And Deep End was a fun time for me. Not saying that it was like a fluffy romance, like pop opposites attract or anything like that. Like the characters had their struggles, they had their issues, and they felt really real. Like their issues felt real and grounded. But it was like them overcoming their issues together, training for the Olympics together, like all of that just worked for me. We are at the top 3. So at number 3 is A Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita. Wow, I really had a good year with manga in 2025 as well. I love to see that I still love manga. Anyways, I read the first 9 volumes in 2025, which is like a good sign that like the things I started were all pretty solid and I still want to continue with them. Good job, manga. In Japanese, the title is Yubisaki Torenen, and it follows Yuki, who is a college student, and she is deaf, and her romance with a college senior, or like senior to her, not like an actual senior. But yes, and the main guy, Itsun Omi, was such a green flag all around, and Yuki was just so like sweet, and they are communicating so well with each other. There's just something endearing about the both of them. Her being just this loving soul, gentle and kind, and such like just full of positivity, and then him being just what she needs, what he needs, and like loving travel, loving languages. I'm just like, is this me? So yeah, loved it. Number 2 is also a twofer. We have Sunshine Court and The Golden Raven by Nora Sakovic. If you remember, 2017 was when I picked up Foxhole Court. I think the series name is like All for the Game or something like that. And I was in love. I've reread those books, and that trilogy has me in such a chokehold. Like sometimes I'll see things and be like, Foxhole Court, when it really like isn't. Probably not. But yeah, like I love that trilogy a lot. And I think even now, if I reread it, I think I'll still love it. But yeah, I was not expecting that we would get more from this world. I was like nervous though. Like I was just like, is it gonna be good? What if it's bad? But no, it ended up delivering. And I read them both. And it's really good. And all I can say is that like my heart aches for John, and I wish him all the best, and he needs to be okay. I need that final book to make him okay. My number one book, it's a bit unconventional. It's not like the usual books that I read, and it's not the usual books I would recommend or call a favorite, but as you know, I'm very much a mood reader, and my list for favorites is very like how I feel. Like, it's just really driven by emotions, my emotions. And with that preface out of the way, my number one book that I read in 2025 is The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang. I don't feel like I should have said that with a smile. Let me give you the full title. So it is The Rape of Nanking, The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II. And I've heard of this book before, but it wasn't until my coworker, Erin, recommended it that I was just like, you know what, it's shooting right to my next read list. And I did exactly that. And it was just so profound. I remember the first time reading it, and I listened to it in audio the first time around, that I had to take breaks, because please read trigger warnings, because it was so gruesome. And I've learned a little bit of this history, but not to this extent. And this was such an educational read. It was such a powerful read. And so I read this in maybe January. So I started my year off with this. And when I was in school for the fall term, my Asian history class, one of the weeks, this was the required reading. So I ended up picking up the physical copy so I could annotate it and reading it again for the second time. And also I was the leader of the discussion for that week. So I felt like my understanding for the book and what was happening then really grew, and it became just something so much bigger, and just the experience that I had with this book from January all the way to the end of the year, I think will just always stay with me. I just think it's kind of wild that the year I decided to read it will also be the year that it was required reading, and I would also be one of the people leading the discussion. So it was, I just feel like I just comprehend the book in such a way that no other book that I read in 2025, regardless of how fun or how much I loved it, would take away the experience I had with The Rape of Nanking, this book. And that's why it's number one, and it's the number one. That was a really lengthy explanation, and I don't even think I sounded coherent, but it's okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that is it for my top books that I read in 2025. I will be doing, luckily I had a really, really good reading year in 2025, so I won't be doing a worse list. I'll just be picking out some disappointing reads and discussing them, and then I'll also do it for movies and TV shows, the usual spew routine, and then also look forward to it. I got some books for Christmas as gifts, and I also bought some books at the end of the year, so I do need to do a bookshelf just clean, so there will be an unhaul coming your way as well, so keep an eye out for all of those videos. I almost did not remember my outro. Comment, subscribe, see you in my next video whenever that is. Bye.